everyone, welcome to JessiBakes, where Jessica shares her baking stories and recipes. Baking is my passion. I have been baking for 5 years already, and I can say that baking has helped me a lot to grow as a person. Baking allows me to be expressive of myself, since here I can show my feelings, my emotions, and my love. Another thing, baking makes me creative. I can experiment on a different styles, taste, and ingredients. And most importantly, baking has helped me a lot in my mental health and sustaining my needs. During the pandemic, my source of income is this. I created a small business where I sell my baked goodies like cakes, pastries, and cookies. And speaking of cookies, in this video, I will be showing to you how I make my chocolate chip cookies. I will not make this introduction any longer, and let's now proceed to the procedures. Here, I will be demonstrating to you my version or my recipe of chocolate chip cookies. Let's start with the ingredients. We need 1/2 cup of white sugar, 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1 whole egg, 1/2 cup of softened butter, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips. Alright, so the first step in making these chocolate chip cookies is to add your softened butter in the mixing bowl. Your butter should be softened, and when you say softened, it is spreadable, not melted. After that, we will now add the white sugar. After adding the white sugar, you can now add your brown sugar. So mix all of these together until you achieve a creamy-like consistency. Just mix, and mix. As you can see, if your butter is really soft, your mixing will be easy, because when your butter is hard, you cannot really incorporate the butter with the sugar. So always remember to soften your butter really well before you start this recipe. You have to mix it thoroughly until everything is well combined. Alright, so when the butter and the sugar are now mixed, you can now add your egg. So in baking, when you are using an egg, make sure to crack it in a separate bowl first. Because why? When your egg is not in a good condition or your egg is spoiled, and when you add that into your mixture, that could also spoil the whole mixture, your whole recipe. So you have to start all over again. So it is important that your egg is fresh and you have to crack it in a separate bowl first. There. Just mix your egg and your sugar and your butter. When the egg, the sugar, and the butter are well combined, you can now add your vanilla. So in this recipe, we need 1 teaspoon of vanilla. You can use any brand of vanilla. Just use what's available. There, the vanilla is already in and you just have to give this a good mix. Alright, so let's mix the vanilla into the egg and the butter and the sugar. The vanilla will serve as a balancer for the egg because the egg could give a different taste, or in Tagalog like malansa. So adding vanilla will make it flavorful and fragrance-free because the egg really has a fragrance. Alright, so after mixing that, we can now add our dry ingredients. These are already pre-sifted. When you say pre-sifted, I already sifted it through a sifter. So let's add our 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour gradually. You should add it gradually so you can mix everything carefully. Alright, let's just mix and mix and mix. After the all-purpose flour, you can now also add your remaining dry ingredients, which are the baking soda and the cornstarch. Let's mix this first. I will now add in the 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. After the cornstarch, we can now add our baking soda. In mixing this, you can use an electric mixer, but we don't have that, so I'm just going to mix it manually. It's not that hard, you can really mix it unless you're going for big batches, then you might need an electric mixer for that. So we're just going to mix this until we achieve a dough-like consistency. But important reminder, don't overmix your mixture because it could affect the baking of your cookies. Just mix it until you achieve a dough-like consistency. There you go, just mix, and mix. And in baking, always remember that when you use a room temperature ingredient, then your ingredients for the whole recipe should also be at room temperature. So for example, you use a room temperature butter, then your egg should be room temperature as well. And it's the best if you will use a room temperature ingredients, because when it's cold, it's hard to mix, or when it's hot, it's not really good because it will melt everything, especially when you have butter in your recipe. Oh my gosh, it's so good and it smells so good. So there, we now have a dough-like consistency. So when your mixture is now in a dough form, you can now add in your chocolate chips. So in my recipe, I will not put the whole 1 cup of chocolate chip cookies. I will leave for like 1 tablespoon or 2, because we will put that in the as toppings of the cookies later when we bake it. So let's just mix the chocolate chips with the mixture so that everything is well combined. In this part, it would be best if you would manually mix it, because if you will use an electric mixer, you might melt the chocolate chips, and it would be more delicious if you can bite the chocolate chips when you eat it. It's an added texture to the cookies. Alright, so everything is well combined. I'm just going to preheat the oven and wash my hands so we can form this into balls. The oven is now preheating. I preheated it at 180 degrees Celsius for at least 20 minutes. So while the oven is preheating, I'm now going to form this cookie dough into balls. So it doesn't really have to be perfect. Just get the right amount. So in this, I'm using 1 tablespoon of cookie dough and forming it into balls. There. Oh my gosh, this is so soft and so fragrant. Alright, let's form it into balls. Make sure that when you put it in your tray has a parchment paper, or you're using a non-stick tray, because it has a tendency to stick. And the placement of your cookies should be far from each other, because it will expand and we don't want them to stick together. Let's just continue to roll all of course, when you're handling food, your hands and your working area should also be clean. We don't want any cross-contamination in this kitchen. So everything is sanitized and everything is clean. You also might be wondering why I'm not wearing gloves. Because if I wear gloves, it will be hard for me to form this into balls because the dough is really sticky and it will just stick to the glove. But don't worry, I always wash my hands every now and then. Alright, so now that we have placed our cookie doughs here, we will now put chocolate chips on top. Actually, you can store this mixture in the fridge. You can form them into balls already and store them in the fridge so that when you cook it, when you want your cookies to be really freshly baked, you can just get the amount that you need and you don't have to cook everything right away, or you don't have to bake everything right away. This is a perfect snack, a perfect gift, or perfect comfort food. This is actually my comfort food. I sometimes see myself baking at 3 in the morning because I'm so stressed and I want my comfort food. It's really easy to me. So now that our cookie doughs are done, we will now bake this in the oven. Now that we are done forming these cookie doughs into balls, we will now move on to baking. So we will bake these cookies, this recipe, for 10 minutes in 150 to 160 degrees Celsius.
While the cookies are in the oven, I will tell you a short story on how baking became beneficial for me. I have mentioned about my baking business a while ago, and I am proud that this small business already helped a lot of people. Last November 2020, Typhoon Ulysses entered the Philippines, which caused a huge disaster. I took this opportunity to give back all my blessings. A part of my sales during that month was donated to the typhoon victims. I know that this is not a big amount, but I know that every cent and thoughts counts. Furthermore, this hobby also helped me with my mental health. There are times where I get anxiety attacks or I feel everything is not doing well. And whenever this occurs, what I would do to feel better is baking. Baking became like a sort of a therapy. For me, baking is not just a hobby, it is my comfort zone. Baking helps me to be focused, and this empowers me as a person.
It's now. And put it on the cooling rack. It is important that you cool down the cookies first before you eat it so that everything will settle, because if it's like this, it's hot, then the cookies are really soft. You can eat it like this, but it would be best if you let it cool down first. Oh my gosh, it's so very yummy. It smells so good. The house smells so good. If only you could smell it through the screen. It smells so appetizing. There. So just let this cool down for a bit before tasting it. The cookie cookies are now done cooling down, so that also means that it is done. Look at it. And oh my gosh, it smells really good. And I bet it tastes good as well. So to see, let's taste it. Oh my gosh, it's so yummy, it's so sarap. I like these cookies. No kidding. It's so soft and it's really chewy, just how I like it. This cookie symbolizes how passionate I am for baking and how baking helped me in my financial needs and of course my mental health. And sadly, now that the cookies are done, this also means that our vlog is done. I am really hoping that you learned something new and you follow this recipe. In case you make these cookies, don't forget to tag me on my Instagram account, that's @JessiBakes, and I am hoping to see your creations as well. Thank you so much for watching and see you on my next vlogs. Bye bye!